And if you at home like snozberries, like and subscribe for more snozberries.
Snozberry content.
That's right,
Apparently-
more Snozberry content.
We are sponsored by Snozberries.
YouTube analytics say that most of you haven't heard of snozberries, so if you haven't heard of snozberries, please click the snozberry button below.
Please try out Snozberry VPN. Protects you not only your internet
VPN.
privacy, but the gentry too.
Welcome to episode 2 of Frost and Rust. When we last left our characters, they had just escaped Arcadia by burning down 2 warships and escaping on the 3rd. And they arrived at Hollywood Ranch. So, introducing our players, we have Rook returning as Lysander. We have Ego returning as Shard. We have Goth Fox returning as Sunny. And we have Kisama returning as Lewis. And we pick up with the 4 of you on the warship, which is no longer a warship. It's a boat. It's a yacht, actually. It's a very elegant, fancy yacht. It's made up of dark wood, plush furniture. There's no one on the boat besides the 4 of you. Fortunately, you aren't quite that in the water yet. You do, however, see a dock. You are approaching a dock, and on this dock is a person, you think. All you can make out so far is just their figure silhouetted against the setting sun.
Who's on the helm?
A fair question.
Some sort of coast guard, perhaps. Or...
We're driving towards this dock. Who's got the wheel and the throttle?
Last time
or is this a sailing ship still?
We let Lewis.
It is a sailing ship still.
Then we better haul in some sails before we plow into the dock and the shore.
I could also just jump out of the ship and... No, that's a terrible idea.
Shard will jog to the prow and get as close as he can to see if he can spot any details. Who might it be? Is it a human?
Roll me wits and investigation -2.
3 successes.
Nice. So despite it being, the sun is setting, you have to squint to see this person. But despite having to do that, you can still make out, first and foremost, this is not a person. As far as you can tell, you think it's another changeling. Their skin is a pale blue. Their hair is pure white. They have small horns growing from their forehead. And when they notice you, they lift their arm and they begin to wave, and almost like they're flagging you down.
They seem friendly, but we may need to exercise caution.
Shard ducks below one of the gunwales, just enough that most of his body is not seen, and his arm slowly shifts Terminator style into a very sharp, long blade.
Oh, God.
I'm going to check the yacht for a knife. I don't care. I'm looking for a knife.
Roll what's an investigation, please.
Will do so.
Lysander's gonna try to make sure we don't plow full steam ahead.
Lysander's gonna
Into
look
the
through the
dock.
wheel.
Yeah, probably somebody should do that.
Lewis
Well,
just starts barking orders at everyone, despite the fact he has no idea what he's doing.
It's fine.
Vicini
fine.
style, move the thing and that other
Ooh.
thing.
Move the thing!
So,
Move it.
Lysander, you can roll intelligence and drive.
1 success.
Oh,
The most
yeah.
important success.
1 success. So you find the wheel. I'm sorry, before we get to that, Goth, did you give me your result from your roll?
0 successes, but I've still got my unarmed strike thing.
Okay, so while Shard is producing this long blade from his arm, and Sunny is searching the ship for a knife and failing, Lysander, he sees the wheel. Fortunately, you guys are all on the deck. It's very easy to spot. And you're able to grab it as you begin to pull towards the dock. You are able to then shift the boat's weight quickly enough to get it to steer away from the dock. So you have now begun to slow, mostly because you are now sideways as you were going straight. But you aren't progressing towards the dock anymore. You're kind of floating in the water, maybe 10, 20 yards away from it.
Well, that's yelling range, at least, for this figure on the dock.
It is, and you can hear them saying, "Hold on, stay put, we'll get a boat out to you guys."
Should we trust them? They could be part of the fair folk.
I don't like it.
Me neither. Not a fan.
You can swim, right?
Yes, I actually could. I just
Maybe
need
slip
to
off the side, see if you can get around them.
Oh yeah, sure. Just okay. I'm going to activate what was that contract? Chrysalis, I think. And I will turn into an eel and dive back down.
Okay, so beneath the water, you can see that there is a boat. You can see the underneath of it more clearly now that you are an animal that can see through dark water. You can see that there is a boat tied up near the dock, and somebody seems to be getting into it. It seems to be only one person. And as you are swimming towards the dock, the boat pushes off away from it and begins to move towards the sailing yacht.
I'm gonna swim and try to sneak behind the person who is waving us down.
Okay. So you swim pretty much almost to shore at this point to get a good look at the person on the dock still from behind. And you can see a clearer picture of what Shard was able to make out from the boat. Pale blue skin, very fair light hair, horns growing from their forehead. And she's just watching the boat. It is a she, very clearly a she. She's just watching the boat, waiting, it seems, for whoever is in the rowboat to return with everyone.
I'm going to basically sneak behind her and just go, "Hello, can I help you?" Sort of switch back to a human, or some equivalent of a human.
Do you get out of the water first, or are you just kind of treading water and talking to her?
I will get out of the water first and uncomfortably shift back into a human.
Okay. So as you come up behind her, presumably you do come up from behind her, she jumps. She turns around and she says, she kind of looks between you and the boat out in the water, and she says, "How in the bloody hell did you get here?" And you can tell she's got a British accent now that yes, she's got a British accent now that you guys are closer and she's not yelling. You can make it out some.
Well, I took a dip. I was an eel. Now I'm not.
She kind of nods at that and she says, "Huh, that's handy. Ooh, you didn't have to do that. I was sending a boat, but that's handy." And she sticks out her hand and she says, "I'm Naira."
I've forgotten my name.
Well, that's unfortunate. It can happen. Don't panic. It might come back to you. You might have to... well, we'll get to that in a little bit. There's more of you, right? It wasn't just you on the boat?
Yeah, there's 3 of my mates over there. I'm...
Yoo-hoo!
Yeah, there they are, see? That one's drunk. Do take caution. Do you have anything to, induce some sleep on him? He's been through a lot.
She looks
We all
around
have.
and she says, well, not on me, but once we get him back into the freehold proper, there's probably somebody who could do something about that.
I'm quite famished.
Fully
Shard at
agree.
this point is just glaring. Just the blade arm is just dropped to the deck, and he's just glaring at Lewis.
Shut up!
Don't worry about him.
So eventually, the boat reaches the yacht, and on the boat, you can see a male. He is a very large gentleman, and he's actually covered in purple scales. He does have hair growing from his head. It's blonde, but mostly he's covered in purple scales. And you can see curled around him up into his lap as he sits on the seat of the boat is a tail.
Shard will stand up and get between him and probably Lysander. Lewis, no offense.
Lewis is a Ferris. He can take care of himself. He'll just seduce the pants off of him. It's fine. Oh, no, wait, that's
Oh, yeah.
bards. Never mind.
Goddamn Toreadors.
Difference.
No difference.
Stand between the boat and Lysander. Blade comes up just to show it. Where are you and what do you want?
He holds up his hands and he says, my name is Max, and I'm here to take you to shore.
Okay, why?
Because you don't want to swim and get wet, do you?
He kind of points at Lysander and he says, because you're out in the water and there's no other way to get there besides swimming?
Shard is narrowing his eyes.
Max just continues holding up his hands, and he kind of glances between Lysander and Lewis, and like, can you do something about him?
Lysander's gonna actually like find a rope on the deck and like toss one end of it down so that we'll have something to climb down into the boat, and he's gonna go ahead and go.
Okay.
Shard will follow after wordlessly, but when he gets on the boat, stares straight in the eyes of Max and say,
Oh.
"This better be legit."
What are you gonna get Lewis?
Lewis stands at the top of the boat, arms crossed, just like, okay.
Like you say,
No, I'll protect myself. It's fine. And after a moment, Lewis starts climbing down the rope.
Okay. So once everyone's in the boat, Max doesn't really have much to say. He introduces himself to the two that didn't threaten him, and he gets you safely to shore. Takes maybe about 2 minutes in the rowboat. It's not very far. And you are reunited with Sunny, who has been talking with Naira on the dock. And Naira turns to you all and introduces herself to you one at a time. And she kind of stares at Lewis for a moment and shakes her head and says, we've seen this before. It'll get easier, I promise.
I'm sorry, you've mentioned these things, freeholds and all that. What exactly are you with them?
Oh, gods, no, 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 no. I am so sorry if I gave you that impression. I don't know what it is about me. I kind of tend to creep people out a little bit, but no, you are absolutely safe here. You are 100% safe. You've gotten out and now you're in the freehold. It's us. It's here. It's Hollywood. It's all of us changelings together trying to make sure that we don't get caught by the keepers and dragged back to Arcadia.
Is she hiding anything? Would I maybe sense?
You can roll. What's an empathy?
There are more of us.
Oh, there are tons of, well, not right here. There are maybe about 36 or so of us in Hollywood Ranch, but we've heard stories from across the states, and And clearly from, further beyond, she gestures at herself in her British accent. She kind of laughs and says, but there are more of us. We're the lucky ones. We've gotten out.
One success, by the way.
Okay. As far as you can tell, she's not hiding anything. She seems to be clear, open with you guys about what her intentions are and who she is.
The blade turns back into an arm.
She kind of glances at it and doesn't say anything about it, but seems a bit more relieved and relaxed now that, the blade is a hand again.
You can understand our hesitation.
She nods. Absolutely, absolutely. But like I was telling your friend here, you're safe now. That's what the freehold is we've come together to protect each other, and if you choose to stay, we can count you among us and offer you protection as well. That's what we do.
And if we don't choose to stay, what is that? A death sentence here?
Not from us, but without the protection of the seasonal courts, you're more likely to run into one of the keepers or their huntsmen, and you probably won't fare very well against them by yourself.
Seasonal courts?
Sure, there's spring, summer, autumn, winter. They all do something when the reigning monarch is reigning. When spring is in season, there can be no violence in the freehold unless it's born of a true heart's desire. She kind of glances at Lewis a bit nervously. Shard is able to tell that. But she continues and she says, I can't say that I know much about the other courts. I'm Spring Court myself, but there are plenty of us, and I'm sure they'd be more than willing to give you the information that you're after.
So, given the fact that you're our welcoming committee, can I assume that it's springtime right now?
She nods. She says, it is. It's almost summer, actually. But usually they have us spring courtiers here because, well, despite the fact that I tend to creep people out, we tend to be the more welcoming of the courtiers. We are a bit more free in our affections, and so we tend to, I don't want to say take people off their guard. That's not what I intend to do at all, but it does tend to get people to soften up a bit before they get to the freehold.
Weak manipulators, okay. Got it.
She rolls her eyes at that and turns to someone else.
Sorry, is the war still going on?
No, that ended, oh goodness, 8 years ago now?
Excuse me, what?
I beg your pardon.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. Well, yes. I suppose it's been 8 years since the end of the war. There's talk of a second one. We're all a bit nervous ourselves, but it hasn't happened yet, fortunately. You'll be a bit hard-pressed to find any real liquor worth drinking around anymore, but don't worry.
I beg your pardon.
She leans over to Lewis and she says, don't worry, we have our own stash here.
Good.
She pats him on the shoulder. Don't worry.
Lysander, do you have any idea what they're talking about?
Which part?
The war part.
Maybe?
She looks at Shard and she says, oh my. Oh, okay. Well, we're gonna have to go back a bit further than I thought we were. Let's start. Let's start by getting you guys out of the water and into the freehold safely, where we can all talk. You can meet with whoever you want to meet with. And then we can start with the last thing that you remember, and we'll try to go from there.
Oh no.
Shard shrugs.
She looks at Sunny and says, "You don't remember anything, do you?"
No, I remember some things. They called me Sunny back there, but I don't remember my actual name.
She nods and she says, "Well, that might not be the worst thing." She kind of gets a bit nervous.
It can get worse.
Well,
I mean, judging by Lewis here.
she kind of holds up her hands and she says, "Well, most people when they're taken, the gentry are smart. They don't want people asking questions and looking for us. So there might kind of sort of be somebody living your life with your name already."
No. Oh,
Sorry?
I must send a telegraph. Oh God.
Well, we have telephones.
We couldn't afford it back then. Look, I need a pen or something. I must warn my sister.
Sonny, I think I get the gist here. If something was living your life, they might not want this second Sonny showing up. They might not even believe you.
That would be awkward.
This is absurd. Absurd, I tell you.
Naira
What
and Max
else?
kind of glance at each other and just step back silently to let you guys have your conversation.
Look, we'll get you home. Don't worry about that. I don't know how or when or where the hell we are, but we'll get you home.
California, I should think.
How did I even end up here?
How do you know California?
And he points at the sign.
Last I heard, California was basically the province of looters and free men. You're saying that all this built up a city or a ranch or whatever this is?
How old are
What?
you?
What year do you think it is?
Or was?
Okay. Last
we
I
can go
remember, like, the railroad hadn't gotten this far.
Oh dear. Oh my God.
What are you giving me those looks for?
See, I was taken around 1918.
19. Huh. He falls silent and, like, is not looking at anybody.
And Lysander will, like, clap a hand on his shoulder, and it's not terribly forceful or anything, but
He flinches severely.
and the hand is withdrawn.
Give him
So,
space.
sorry about that. What?
Just trying to be here for you.
Huh.
Indeed. Seems that we were all out of time. Is this normal?
Naira nods and she says, "Some of us get lucky. Some of us have only been gone a few years. I met somebody once who was only gone a few months before they managed to escape. He was one of the really lucky ones. Some of us are gone much longer. Some of us are gone decades. I myself was gone about 37 years before I escaped."
Excuse me?
She nods. She doesn't say anything else, and Max kind of wraps an arm around her shoulder and starts to gently comfort her, and She says, so you guys aren't the first to be displaced in time. This is common for everyone. It's going to take some getting used to, but we're all here to try and help you guys through whatever it is that you need to adjust to.
Okay, first things first, we're gonna need a place to lay low, to sleep, if nothing else. Is there some place like that? You say there's a collection of us.
She nods and she says, we actually own, we operate one of the nearby hotels. We could put you up.
Hotels.
That's
Oh, Lord.
lavish.
California has hotels now.
She nods and she says, it was a bit of a shock for me too. I understand.
37 years, I can imagine.
Well, I guess lead on, yeah?
Yeah.
So she brings you into an automobile, which probably surprises Shard very greatly, having your own private automobiles.
I don't even know what those are.
A horseless carriage, indeed. Naira kind of laughs at
How
that.
does it move?
She points towards the front of it where the long boxy end, and she says, well, inside is an engine, and that runs on gasoline. And I'll show you one of these days. I'll show you.
I will just take it for read that this isn't some sort of magic or whatever we are work.
Well, it's kind of it's human magic. They call it technology.
Shard in the car is basically going to slouch back, look out the window at everything, and have half an ear on and an eye on what's going on and be in his head the rest of it.
Naira and Max are sort of talking amongst themselves. They seem content to leave you all to your own thoughts. The drive isn't very long. It takes maybe about 10 minutes for you to get into what you think is about the center of the city. And lo and behold, when you get out, there is a towering building with a huge glowing sign on top of it that says the Roosevelt.
It's a pretty place.
Naira nods and she says, it actually belongs to the Autumn Court, but we let the new changelings stay here before they get places of their own.
How many of us are there?
Well, here there's, including you, I suppose about 4 dozen now. Elsewhere, well, that's hard to say. We can't be the only ones.
I dread to think. I don't want anybody to be taken.
And are you saying we're well established enough that we own this?
Well, I mean, no one knows that we are what we are, but we do operate it, yes.
That's insane.
What do you mean? Wait, they don't see us. Is that?
She looks around, and as you guys stand by the car, you notice that the people passing you are doing just that. They're just passing you. They are talking amongst themselves. They're carrying conversations, and you notice that they look perfectly normal. They look exactly like you remember people looking, and they don't show you any particular attention. And Naira just kind of shrugs, and she says, "We look just like anyone else to them. That is magic."
So we're not invisible. Okay.
Shard gestures to his melted form. How the hell do we look normal to them?
I suppose we look just like as we were back when we left. Or
I was a
perhaps some variant.
child.
Perhaps a variant. Maybe you've aged. I mean,
Maybe you're still a child to them.
I don't know what my hair looks like.
Shard in mask form would look like he's walking purposefully towards something, but as it is, he sort of slithers towards somebody. Am I a child?
Calm down.
Is he a child?
The person that you stop and grab kind of like jerks back from you and says, "No, you're a freak!" and takes running off down the street.
Oh no!
He will actually turn to Max, and I missed her name already.
Her name is Naira.
Naira. Max and Naira, and see, we're freaks.
You're a freak. I don't know about us.
Naira kind of coughs and says, "Well, I think that might have had more to do with your behavior than what they see."
You did physically accost them without any provocation.
Indeed.
Why are you all so calm about this? Alright, Sonny, I get it. You look relatively human. And he just gestures to himself.
But that's not what they see. They don't see that. It's hard to explain. It's we call it a mask for obvious reasons, and that's what they see. They just see us as normal. It's, well, from the very few other types of creatures that I've met, we all kind of have something like that does it for us. We just tend to stay hidden. It's good. It's good for us. I mean, you saw what happened when you just physically assaulted somebody. Imagine what would have happened if you'd done that looking like that.
Shard just physically deflates a little bit, but a muttered bullshit just comes out.
Look, we've all been tired. We've just escaped. We might as well take in their hospitality.
And
Yeah, fine.
rest.
And
Wait, you mentioned that alcohol is not allowed?
Yeah, we're in the middle of the prohibition. They...
what?
Yeah, it's pretty awful. Fortunately, like I said, we have our own stash here. We don't really have to worry too much about the police raiding us. We are a hotel and not a bar or a speakeasy after all. But, don't make it obvious that you're asking for alcohol and we can supply.
Why? Why would they do such a thing?
I don't know!
It's just as harmless as smoking. Why would they do such a thing?
Okay, Lewis, a little bit of focus, I guess. I've never seen you
yes, of course.
sober.
I don't think he has
And
been
you
sober.
survive without alcohol.
Can a goose walk?
Naira kind of tilts her head at that and says, "Not well." They sort of...
I'm pretty sure he's drunk in an entire keg.
She nods and she says, "Let's get some water in him and then maybe we'll try to wean him off. We don't want to kill him."
Fine.
So she walks you all into the lobby of this hotel, and it is just as rich and elegant as the yacht was. The floors look like they're made of marble. There are columns in the middle of the lobby leading up to the solid stone reception desk, and everyone is wearing uniforms. The people inside are smiling. They're eating in the dining space. They're having a good time. Of course, the aroma of food wafts towards Lewis from the kitchen area. The receptionists, however, when they see you, they smile, they nod. You recognize them, just the receptionists, as changelings. One of them is a moving tree almost. Their skin is very bark-like. Their hair looks like moss. The other one seems to almost be a fairy of sorts. They have delicate wings coming from their back. Beautiful, beautiful woman. The others, however, eating in the dining area, there are some changelings. You can see through their masks to what they really look like. But most of them are human, and the humans, once again, they don't seem to notice that they're sitting among anyone who's any different from they are.
This is peculiar.
This is the Roosevelt, she says as she ushers you in.
Elegant. I'll give you that.
Sometimes the Autumn Court can give us a run for our money, and that's saying something.
Shard is looking around like the bumpkin he is.
Eventually, she brings you up to the receptionist, and she introduces each one in turn. She points to the tree, and she says, "This is Elle." And then she points to the fairy, and she says, "And this is Nixie." And they'll help you get settled into your rooms. I will be down here. If you guys have any questions, you can find me here. Otherwise, you guys go get some rest, and I'll see you in the morning. We can introduce you to the courts, the monarchs, and we can answer any more questions that you guys have.
Sounds agreeable.
Yes.
Shard just sleepily accepts.
Yeah. I think I'd like to go to bed.
After maybe half an hour, the two receptionists have you all in different rooms. They are just as elegant as the lobby was. The beds are soft, big, plush. The wood is dark and rich. The fabrics are light and soft. There are attached bathrooms to each of them. For some of you, you might not have seen indoor plumbing, and if you have, it certainly didn't look like this. So running water, it surprises you a bit. Especially, it seems, you were able to get a look around the Roosevelt, and it seems like the hotel is the nicest thing in this immediate area. So you seem to be in the richest of areas here. They show you to your rooms. Do you guys go immediately to sleep? Do you... No. Okay.
This is the 1920s. Let's go.
Yeah, that's what's happening right now.
Okay.
You guys do your thing. Shard will not be emerging from his room. The first thing Shard is doing when he gets into his room is he's pacing every inch of the outside, getting the bounds and stuff. He's going to find anything loose, probably, honestly, part of the bed. And he's going to pry it loose so he has something that he can defend himself with. And he's going to push the bed up against the door.
Oh my. Okay.
Basically, he's doing everything he can do to fortify the room without actually breaking anything.
Okay.
Oh my God.
And he's going to find some sort of container, fill it up with water, and just let it sit until he knows he can trust it.
Okay. So first, roll strength and athletics to get that loose piece of bed off.
If he doesn't roll intimidation to intimidate the water, I'm going to be upset.
Oh, just wait until I have to convince the hotel that this is mine.
Oh.
I'm just gonna say my thing because mine's gonna be a very quiet evening. I'm gonna get just a glass of gin and some stationery and start writing,
Okay.
and then I'll turn out for bed.
If you do not want everyone to know what you are writing, you can send me either what you would write or a summary of it in a side ping, and we can keep it just between you and I.
2 successes.
Okay, so you managed to pry that from the bed. Make the same roll again to push the bed up against the door.
1 success, and I also don't care how loud it is.
Okay, so you managed to get the bed up against the door. The room is carpeted, so you knock it against some things, and there are some clattering noises. The lamp shakes, but it's pretty muffled. It doesn't make too loud of a noise because you're dragging the bed across the carpet. So, and then you get a container of water. Let's see. Yeah,
Just in like a something like that.
make an intelligence and survival roll.
I have both of those things.
You do.
Son of a bitch. Nothing.
So you stare at this water for at least half an hour, and when it ripples, you jump, and when it sits still, you get close, and when you breathe on it, it ripples, and you jump again. And you have no idea. You have no idea whether this water is actually going to come out of this container. It looks like it might when it ripples, or if it's just going to sit there. It's teasing you. You have no idea what it's going to do. None whatsoever.
So the jug is going into the bathroom. The bathroom is getting its own barricade temporarily. Probably like a bedstand or something like that. Just something that I know if the door is opening.
I won't make you roll for that. You can, you have enough strength to push that in front of the door.
I'll go through the drawers, make sure there's nothing harmful in any of the drawers, and then I'm going to hunker down into the corner and try to start bending this piece of the bed into something like a weapon.
You open the drawers to see a book, and on the cover are the words Holy Bible. Other than that...
Immediately taking that. That's going in the corner with me.
Okay. So you start to fashion it into some sort of a weapon. I will have you... Oh my. Roll wits and crafts.
Shite. I got a 3.
Okay, so you fumble with this thing for a little while, but you can tell that it's not very bendable. It's a very thick piece of metal that you just so happened, it was rusted in one spot. You so happened to manage to torque it the right way to get it off the bed frame, but you can't bend it into any particular shape.
Then Shard will swear, wish he had one of the forge workers from Arcadia realize what he said, and then throw the damn thing into the opposite corner, and then basically hunker down, open the Bible, read it, and his eyes are going to dart from door to Bible to bathroom door to Bible, etc., until he gets tired.
Until he eventually passes out.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
What a stressful evening you've got there, Shard.
Hi, welcome to being me.
So Sunny is hunkered down with his gin and his letter. It looks like he is working furiously on that. So what is Lysander doing?
So Lysander at first is going to start, he's going to kind of explore the room and sit on the bed and just kind of quietly contemplate. And then it's going to strike him that if this is some kind of cruel trickery illusion, you might as well enjoy it. And if it's not some kind of cruel illusion, then they're actually free. And he intends to enjoy it. And so he's going to leave the room and descend to street level and wander outside amongst the people under the stars, which is kind of his, happy place under the stars. So, no objective in mind, just like, I'm free, ?
Sure. Not using your telluric ability, just wandering. Okay.
Just wandering.
Okay. Key, what is Lewis doing tonight?
So, Lewis goes to his room, the door behind him, and immediately starts sobbing, yelling out, "She tried to sell me!" As Lewis goes, plops down face first and just starts crying into the pillow. After a while, we can order a room service, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he would notice that and order some food and a lot of liquor.
Is he doing anything, or is he just drinking? He plans to drink alone in his room.
So he plans to drink alone in his room, and then also I would like to use a contract.
Oh God. Okay, what contract?
While I'm drunk, mind you, I will be first pricking my finger for lethal damage over the course of this as I break up go to grab it and just go, oh dear. And start doing spinning wheel to myself, just talking about how eventually we will all get back home.
Okay.
And then it's mostly centered around Sunny specifically. So
Okay.
I'm targeting Sunny with spinning wheel with the intent of bringing about him going home within the next month.
Okay.
Good roll of intelligence plus occult plus weird minus his resolve. So Sunny's resolve.
Sunny's
My resolve is oh dear, I want
3.
to resist. I actually want to resist this.
I was gonna say,
He's drunk.
This
Leave
is-
him alone. He's
oh
making
my
bad
God.
decisions.
He is.
It's an extended test, so it takes like 3 minutes for me to do, because each roll is 10 minutes.
Oh God, please fail.
Oh no. What is Sunny's resolve?
3.
3? Okay. And because I'm a fairist, and this should have been a positive situation, I don't know if it is anymore, I would have gotten a +3. Would you say this would be a positive experience, Sunny?
A positive experience. While I'd like to be reunited with my sister, I doubt that I'd want to do it within the next month.
Okay.
So it's more of a lukewarm, but still not appreciated one.
Making rolls,
Making
trying to get
rolls.
at least 3 successes. That's 2 successes, so like it's 10 minutes of Lewis talking to himself about how everyone just wants to go home. 1 and yeah, that's 3 successes over 30 minutes. So
Okay.
because of this, over the next month, any rolls made to bring about him going home would get a +3, and any rolls to stop him going home would get a -3. I'll make a note of that.
Please do, yeah.
Can you send it my way as well?
Yes. This applies to anyone.
This is unfortunate.
I'm going to read Sunny's letter. Hold on.
I did take 1 lethal damage as the loophole, and I still need to spend a willpower as part of it. And then immediately after that, Lewis falls asleep, surrounded by the empty glasses and bottles. And he's probably going to have to pay for this later.
Meanwhile, Lewis is passing out among a very metaphorical laden set of empty bottles. Seems kind of symbolic.
So, Lysander, does he make his way back to the hotel at some point in the night to go to sleep?
For a relatively short period of time, he'll walk around just amongst the people and watching the stars, and then he's gonna get tired pretty quick and head back and go to sleep.
Okay. So as you all wake up the next morning, you have breakfast delivered to your door. Poor Lewis is having a hard time getting up. He probably doesn't answer the door when breakfast is served. And the 3 of you, as you leave your room, you notice that he is nowhere to be found. Lysander and Sunny, as you leave your rooms, you hear the sound of something heavy being moved away from Shard's door before he emerges.
Probably sounds like a pretty ominous rumble.
It definitely does.
Shard will look at Sunny, look at Lysander.
Are you all right?
There's someone missing. Where's Lewis?
I'm
Probably-
more concerned about you.
What room was he staying in?
I don't
Do
know.
any of us know?
No, it's you were
You
making noises
guys,
in your room.
Would we know?
You would know. She would have shown you, the receptionist would have shown you the 4 rooms. 2 of them are next to each other across the hall from each other, so you guys are in a relative cluster.
Would
Shard
anyone
will-
have heard Lewis's yelling the night before? Since we're all close together.
A fair question.
Ooh.
Shard can roll perception -2 because he was making lots of noise. And Sunny can roll perception. And Lysander was not there.
That's wits plus composure, right?
And your bonus.
+2.
And
Right,
your bonus. I remembered this time. Rook's pointing, but I remembered this time too. Perception. So yeah.
I've got 2 successes.
Nice. So you definitely would have heard Lewis yelling about his broken heart and the keeper that was going to sell him and how he couldn't believe it.
So that would be the last thing that I heard. I'm going to be kicking his door in,
Oh god. Okay.
expecting him hanging from the roof.
Oh god. Oh!
I'm just gonna stand incredibly still and use my loophole to activate Light Shy.
I forget what that does.
I go invisible.
Yeah, it makes him invisible.
Yes.
Shard can roll strength plus brawl.
Oh, it's been a day, so that means I recover, or a night's sleep, so that means we recover
Yes,
our willpower.
anyone who spent willpower recovers willpower.
Willpower is +3, right?
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Perfect.
You got 4.
Yes.
Nice. So you easily kick open the door. It is not very strong at all, and you are incredibly strong. So you aim your kick right near the handle, and the door flies open, and you see Lewis passed out on his bed among dozens of empty liquor bottles. He's been through dozens.
There's a silent, very, very heavy moment. Shard walks over and feels his pulse.
Okay, roll me wits and medicine, and I will let your specialty apply.
Actually, I have a better idea. He's going to hold his arm up, see if the breath mists his metal arm. Because he might not know what a pulse is.
Okay. So very slowly, his breath does come out, and he breathes back in, and then back out, very slowly, but he is breathing.
The liquid part of Shard's bottom half sort of sinks down into itself like he would be hitting his knees. And he lets out a very short, sincere prayer of thanks.
Do Sunny and Lysander do anything about this? They are watching. I know Sunny's invisible.
I'm going to break my invisibility and quit, like, once I'm, like, at, like, a turn, and run straight down to the lobby.
Mom, look what Shard did.
And I'm gonna go over to one of the receptionists and say, we have a situation.
She is going to look extremely alarmed, and she's going to usher you to show her where it is, and she's going to follow you to your rooms. When she gets there, she's going to look at the door. She's going to look at the 3 of you. She's going to look at Lewis. She's going to put her hands on her hips. She's going to say, was that entirely necessary? You could have just called his room.
He's
I thought that's what the
not done this
boot was.
time. I don't think he had telephones when, he was human.
Very dryly, he's going to say, one of these days, you're going to explain to me what these are.
Eventually, Shard.
Then he's going to pick up Lewis, lay him on the bed, and just... Can we say that because it was such a good kick, the door's in one piece? It just flew off the hinge.
Yeah, it's pretty solid.
Oh my god.
He's going to pick up the door, usher everybody out, and then put the door back on the frame.
Lewis, hearing somebody knock into his room by breaking open this door probably would eventually stir. What does he do as he wakes up to see Shard putting the door back on back on the hinges?
You could have knocked.
Get this man some water.
The receptionist goes to do just that.
Shard will look at Lewis. I thought, given the screaming last night, I would find you hanging from the ceiling when you didn't appear outside. If you're going to get... And he looks disdainfully at the bottles. If you're going to get drunk, warn one of us. And
Not
without
tonight.
another word, walks out.
You've got to be more discreet about it. Apparently, it's a criminalized thing.
I'll keep that in mind.
Does anyone have a water basin? At least wipe him up.
So
I take a bit of the
Lysander
water
will
and just lay it down next to him with the towel. Wash yourself up.
All right. Thank you for everything.
Shard, does this quell your concerns?
Just glares at Sonny, takes his food, and goes back into his safe room.
Does he refortify the door?
You don't hear the bed.
What was the noise coming from his room anyway?
You might have been doing renovations.
I
Is
didn't hear, to be honest.
That's
I
odd.
left.
I mean, between the screaming, I did hear loud movement, but that's about it.
Shard's door opens. Have you given him water yet?
The receptionist comes back, shoots you an odd look, and then hands the water to Lewis.
Thank you.
What
Here.
Knock on the
were
door.
the three of you doing last night?
It's none of my business, but did you have company over?
I've been out of a... And he stops for a second. A job. For 6 hours, 7 hours. No, I didn't have company. Do me a favor. When you try the water, knock on the door if it's safe. Slams the door.
No, really. What happened with the three of you last night?
I don't know. I was in my room. I was having a bit of mother's ruin, and that's about it. I'm hoping you lot slept well, I suppose?
Like a baby.
Fair enough. Do you have any idea when they would contact us, the lady and the blue one?
She did tell you that she would be waiting downstairs for you in the morning.
Oh. I might as well bring my breakfast over and head down. I hope it's a full English.
Definitely. Nothing less than
Wait.
Roosevelt. Who makes their way downstairs? Is it just Sunny? Does Lysander, Lewis, do you guys follow?
Lewis follows after Sunny.
I let him go ahead and assist. Just in case. Are you alright?
Yes, I'm fine. Could you not yell?
I'm not yelling. No, really, I'm not.
Oh,
Whispering.
So,
sorry.
It's alright.
Lysander will knock on Shard's door, and without waiting, just say, "We're going to breakfast downstairs," and like just to let him know, and then he's going to take his breakfast downstairs.
Okay.
Lysander, keep an eye
Shard will
on
join
back.
eventually.
Shard joins. Okay.
Eventually.
Eventually. So when the three of you arrive downstairs, Naira is sitting at a table with Max. They look up from their own breakfast, and they look at each other, and they kind of give you an odd look, and they say, "One of you's missing." But then when Shard comes down, oh, okay, he must have slept in some.
Actually, Lewis was the one who slept in.
Oh, that's what that smell
Guilty
is.
as charged.
Naira gestures to a chair and says, well, get him sit down. Sit down. He can't be standing in this state. He's probably still drunk. She gestures to chairs and, gestures you all to have a seat.
Is there any sobering fruit?
Not here. But we could probably find somebody who has some.
Shame.
She looks up from her breakfast and she looks at all of you in turn and says, well, I suppose you guys have questions or you have people you want to meet. How can we facilitate that?
Let's assume that you're all right for the moment. You say this is California. I get that. What year is this?
1927.
Okay. I've just about gotten that through my head. You say there's a couple dozen of us. 20, 40, something like that. And you say there's a court system. Explain.
Well, like I said, you have spring, summer, autumn, winter. Most everyone joins a court. You don't have to, I suppose, but most everyone does. There are benefits to joining each court. Like I said, I could tell you about spring. There is a gathering tonight, actually. The changing of the crowns is supposed to be happening tonight, and you could see how that's happening. Meanwhile, the monarchs of the other courts will be there, and the monarch of the spring court will be there, if any of you want to ask more questions about that. And you were lucky enough to come in just as this was happening.
And so, with these four courts, obviously there's a peaceable change of power. Is this a peaceable situation, or is there war in the streets with all 40 of us?
She laughs and she says, no, it's nothing like that. We have grand ceremonies where the crown is passed from one monarch to another. It's very peaceful. I've heard of freeholds that battle. I've also heard legends of the seasons themselves fighting wars over who gets to rule, but nothing like that happens here. It's pretty boring.
Pretty boring sounds good. It sounds like it's going to keep us alive.
That it will. We do aim to keep people alive, and she laughs again.
Good.
Okay. All right. So, and I know at least one of us apparently has living relations. Looks over at Sunny. Is there anything that you need?
Not at the moment. It's, I think I have to lay low, actually, now that I think about it. Are the Bolsheviks still a thing?
No. No, they're not.
So, oh dear. Okay. So, okay. I may have to be careful, regardless.
She nods and she says, it never hurts to be careful. That's definitely for sure. You might want to talk to the Autumn Court. It sounds like you might get some benefit from them if your concern is caution. So is theirs.
Could you tell me more about these Autumn people?
I wish I could, but like I said, I'm Spring. However, I can introduce you to some of the Autumn courtiers tonight, and make sure that you get the information that you need there.
I think I will. Thank you.
She nods and she says, of course, of course.
Lysander, how about you? I admit, you're strange to me. You were always her pet.
That's not true, now is it?
Shard rolls his eyes. Fair enough. Her prize
Shard.
piece.
You mean this?
We were all her pets. And then Lysander stares at the pendant.
Prized piece. You've got to be more specific about it.
Whatever. You get my fucking drift.
Could
No
you
need for that.
please stop yelling?
See? You've upset him.
Whatever. You get my fucking drift. Lysander, who the hell are you?
Who am I?
Yeah, I know nothing about you. None of us do, I think.
No, I've seen him before. He was the court seer.
Yes, I get that. But we're not in court anymore, are we?
It seems like we are entering another court.
You had to remind me of that. I'm already not thrilled about this.
What kind of information are you seeking? What are you... You want a biography?
Do you have family that we need to find?
Yes, but we must be prudent. We must not
I agree.
rush things.
You're a bit foolhardy, I must admit.
I can agree with all of this. So, what? Do we just stick around here and do whatever the courts tell us to do?
If it gets us to survive, then yes, I would say so.
I haven't felt any tyranny coming out of here. No one has made demands of us. They've made offers.
If need be, I could tempt something. But I need to get the questions set.
Alright, I grudgingly accept, Lysander, that you have a point. No one's made any demands of us. So, what, do we give it a try then?
I mean, their first reaction was to help us to shore, and then to give us a room, and then to feed us, and have answered every question we've had, and haven't ordered us to do anything. So, wait and see, and find out what's going on.
Lysander, I think what Shard is trying to imply is that, much like the fair folk, they treated us, quote-unquote, well before subjecting us to tyranny at one point.
Exactly, and we don't know when the hammer's gonna drop, and present company accepted, looks at the two strangers. Present company accepted, I don't know if we can trust anybody here. Yeah, these two are nice. And who knows, they may be genuine. I kind of have a feeling they are, and I do agree with you. I'm at a loss here.
Right, and Lysander was about to reply that, yes, there could be some tyranny hidden behind all of the niceties, but there hasn't been any sign of it, really. Like, I mean, it could just be incredibly well veiled, but there hasn't been a sign of it yet.
If need be, we could use this.
A necklace.
Don't you know what this is?
A necklace.
This is one of the things they used to discern what happened at that night.
Does it still work?
Can't hurt to try. We should ask it a question, though.
Maybe we do that where we don't live.
Fair enough. Might as well not use it yet.
Lysander, it pains me to say this, but I cede to you. You're the guy that knows the future.
Sometimes pieces of it. And I know what may come to pass, but not what is certain.
Better than I'm doing right now.
Would you like to give it a shot? I could lend it to you for a moment.
I have no idea how that works.
I'm not too sure, but I've seen her pressed against her forehead once. That's about it.
We may have to hold off on that for a bit, and somewhere safe, as Shard said.
Perhaps might beckon them.
That's what
It
I'm
might.
thinking.
This is...
If she has any sort of strong connection to it, it might.
It might. Not to mention I was the sole proprietor of stealing it. So we might as well keep it on the down low for now.
Agreed.
So, perhaps these freehold people, perhaps they could demonstrate their show of trust in this ball gala, was it?
It's essentially a ball, a grand ball, yes. The changing of the seasons.
Of course. These changing of seasons, we might as well put our trust in them for now. If not, oh dear. How does this work?
We leave again.
So? We've done it once, we'll do it again.
Exactly. If we see something we don't like, I have had some connection. This is still America. I'll find something. And we'll get you back to where you need to be. We'll figure out something. But we'll keep our options open. Agreed?
And they seem to know more of life outside the gentry, so I think it's fair that we at least learn from them before we embark on any unfortunate journeys.
Okay. What do you say, Lysander?
And Lysander actually is looking at Lewis. Lewis?
Are you quite alright?
He's fine. He's got his glass of water there, his ice water. It's been more. He has been focused on not throwing up. That is true.
You poor thing.
What do you say, Lewis? There's to be another party tonight.
And you are part of this little group of escapees here. Your opinion is important.
I think we do need to keep an eye on him.
No. I'll be fine.
He isn't.
Just need some rest before the party.
No,
I'll
I've
be
seen
fine.
many a Russian. No. We're going to have to keep an eye on him. Those months were very cruel. I know what it's like to overdrink.
And not just on him, though. We need to keep an eye on each other.
Yes,
Agreed.
quite right.
I think I can just about say that I trust you people. You did escape with me.
We did help you, especially me. So I have nothing to
True.
be loyal about. I've helped all of you escape. So as long as we have our loyalties here within our group, then I think we should be fine.
It's good. As good a justification as any, I guess.
Yes. All right. We'll take your offer to attend this gala, and we'll see where it goes.
She nods, and she doesn't seem to mind any of the conversation that she may or may not have overheard. It seems like she and Max have been having their own conversation on the side. She nods and she says, "Great. We'll make sure that we're here tonight to pick you up, and we'll make introductions, and we'll go from there." She looks over at Lewis, and she kind of reaches over and pats him on the shoulder and says, "Please make sure to get some rest before the party. The spring court, just get some rest before the party."
Oh my.
Of course.
I should ask, since this is going to be, and there's sarcasm and hatred dripping from these words, a courtly affair. Do we need to be in our finest?
She laughs and she says, "Oh no, it's It is, and it's not like a court. It's nothing like the courts that you might be used to. We have a monarch, but they're more of a counselor, a guidance. They're not really so much of the tyrannical type. So this isn't really, court. But whatever you have is absolutely fine. We understand. But we could probably get you some nicer clothes if you'd like.
Free of charge, I hope.
Absolutely.
Well, as long
I'll
as you
take
got
you on that
the
offer.
puddle.
She laughs and she says, I'm sure we can find something. We'll have a tailor see to it.
Then, I say that's the plan.
So evening comes. Naira and Max come back to pick you up and take you over to what looks to be a sports stadium. The lights are still on, but the dirt lot outside of it is empty of automobiles. Seems like anyone who has parked has done so off-site or maybe even inside. As you see, coming inside of the stadium, several cars are parked inside. Naira guides the automobile that the group of you are in around the back of the stadium where several wide open bay doors lead into the stadium. And you can see where it has been decorated out in the middle of the field is a grand wooden floor. It looks like it's a replaceable, removable floor. Couples are dancing on it. Around them, people are drinking. There are columns decorated with ribbons and flowers, and it's beautiful. Everything is in yellow, in reds, bright, warm colors. It definitely looks like a summer affair. And immediately you can make out who you imagine the monarchs are to be. There are four regal looking people. There's a girl who seems to be maybe about 16 or 17, dressed entirely in pink. Her hair is pink, her dress is pink. She has horns coming from her head and a small tail protruding from beneath the skirt of her dress. And she is talking with an elegantly dressed man. He looks very lordly. He keeps himself up straight. He has a crown of light around his head. And he is dressed in gold threads. Nearby, there is a woman dressed entirely in all black. Her face is covered in a veil, and she speaks with a man who seems so pale that he shouldn't be alive. His skin seems almost white. So does his hair, and he has great antlers that protrude from his head. And he seems to be wearing the largest crown of them all. All of them have sort of a band around their heads. The Spring Princess has flowers. The Lord of Summer has the halo. But the King of Winter, his crown is massive. His antlers branch together to form this crown, and frost covers it, so that snowflakes are almost glued to this crown. And Naira points and says, those are the monarchs. We'll introduce you to those later. But for now, enjoy yourselves. I know that if you have any questions about the courts, the monarchs will be more than happy to answer your questions. They've extended their invitation to you, so please enjoy yourselves. The ceremony should begin any minute now.
What are the rules here?
Well, don't hurt anyone. I don't think I've ever had anyone ask me that question before. Enjoy yourself. That's really the biggest rule.
I can drink to that.
I ask that you be careful. If anything goes wrong, let's rendezvous at the entrance.
Good idea. Make no promises to anybody. Shard will step aside and let the other three go ahead of him.
Should we stay in pairs?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Like I
We
said,
might be learn better if we split up.
Yes, if, if anything goes wrong, just rendezvous at the entrance and we'll be fine, I suppose. It's an open space.
Agreed.
Alright then. Take care, all of you.
You as well.
Shard nods curtly.
So, what does Lysander get up to at the party? What does he decide he wants to do?
Initially, probably skirting the edges and observing, because all of this is so incredibly new that he's just going to be watching and observing and learning as much as he can.
Mostly you see people sort of interacting like you would expect them to interact at any other ball or party. They're drinking, they're talking, they're dancing. Some couples are kissing, some are doing more than that. They're not very shy about it. Naira introduces them as spring courtiers and apologizes on their behalf before ushering you all along. Eventually, the spring princess comes up to Lysander and she dips into a curtsy and she extends her hand and says, I was watching you last night as you were taking your stroll, and I must admit, I've never seen somebody seem so at peace among the people here and the night.
And he, when she curtsies, he bows, returning the politeness, and he kind of thinks about it for a moment, and he says, yeah, I'm still not sure this isn't some sort of cruel joke, but I decided that whether it is or not, I'm going to enjoy it for what it's worth.
She nods and she says, I feel like a lot of us are still expecting the other shoe to drop, even if we've been here for years, so I won't take that personally, but I would like to extend an offer to my court. We are, after all, the court of enjoying ourselves, and it sounds like you already know how you want to spend your time now that you're free of Arcadia, and that is enjoying yourself.
I'm still, yes, because if you're not enjoying yourself, if you're not experiencing happiness, then what is the purpose? Where's the heart of it is really what I'm getting at. If you are not smiling at some point.
She nods knowingly. She says, indeed, we believe the same thing. So if you would like, the door is always open, the offer is standing. We would love to have you among us, if you would.
I will give some serious consideration to your offer, but I hope you understand that I'm still feeling my way around and learning. And I thank you very much for the offer, and I feel as though you might be correct.
She nods her head and she says, of course, I understand completely. Please ask around. Anyone can tell you where to find me if you need anything. And I will look forward to hearing from you. Please take your time and enjoy yourself tonight. That is, after all, what we do.
And he bows again and thank you very much. And he'll use that to moment to politely keep on his way.
Lysander goes off about his way.
And he'll partake in a moderate amount of refreshments, but he's not going to get too deep in it. But he's kind of just letting the feel of the whole thing wash over him, really, and still feeling, the freedom. Like nobody is expecting him to be anywhere. I mean, obviously they expected him to be here at this event, but there are no demands or restrictions being placed on him, and he's feeling it.
Okay. Shard. What is Shard doing?
Shard would know how his mistress worked. As much pomp and circumstance and quote-unquote piece might be straightforward and center, the blood is spilled in the back. So he's going to find some sort of way into the back of the proceedings around. He's going to open doors that he maybe shouldn't, something like that. He's going to see what is hidden behind the circumstance.
I will have you roll an extended wits and investigation. Your goal is going to be 5. Each roll is going to be about 10 minutes, and you can roll when you are ready.
First is 3 successes.
Okay.
And then a further 4.
Okay, that is your 5. So after about 20 minutes, you've scoped the place out. You've managed to get into the back hallways. It's dark back there. The lights are on mostly in the stadium itself, the arena. There doesn't seem to be many lights on in the back hallways. There are spaces for stalls. It looks like businesses might operate out of them, but they're all shut down. You find storage closets. You find bathrooms. You find occasionally somebody who looks like a guard. They stand upright when you approach, and they kind of eye you a bit suspiciously, but when they see that you're just scoping out, they kind of, just watch you go. They take note of it. They kind of nod to you as you go along, but they don't stop you and they don't interrupt you. But you don't find anything really out of place, aside from the few people who seem to be keeping guard around the arena.
Are the guards concentrated in one specific area, or do they seem to be relatively evenly distributed?
They seem to be relatively evenly distributed. You walk maybe about 10 yards and come across one. You walk another 10 yards, come across another, so on and so forth.
And nothing's pinging on the hearing, nothing like that?
Nope, everything seems to be as it seems so far.
All right. He will start to make his way back to the main body of the festivities. When he gets there, he's not going to mingle because he's not really good at that. He's going to find basically a corner and figure out, if he can, who looks like they're of importance but not royal importance.
Okay, roll me.
The politics that I don't have?
I was actually going to say socialize, but you don't have either. However, socialize is only a -1 penalty, so wits and socialize, please.
Okay. I'm actually going to put a willpower into this.
Okay.
1 success.
I mean, one's all you need. After looking around at the crowd, takes you maybe about 2 minutes, you notice the people that the monarchs are talking to most often. They each seem to have almost like a right-hand person, and you can see them moving about, one for the spring, one for the summer, so on and so forth. And it's very easy to keep track of them once you've spotted them. Mostly they're by the monarch's side, but they do occasionally wander off to go talk to somebody else or check on a guest or something like that, and maybe make preparations for the actual ceremony that's supposed to be happening soon.
Okay. In other words, politicking and playing the court.
Yes.
So what he's going to do is he's going to keep one eye on those aides, see who they talk to, or if they keep returning to one particular person as best they can, or as best he can. And he's going to do his best to keep his eyes on whichever of this motley he can see. So if, for example, Lysander is, noticeable, he'll watch him for a little bit. Same thing with Sonny, same thing with Lewis. Basically seeing if they get into trouble, and he'll jump in if he needs to.
Okay.
But he'll try to, when he's doing that, constantly angle towards the person he's currently looking at.
Okay.
Not the aides, but his motley.
Okay. You can see Lysander, who was talking to the Spring Princess. And you can see the others, but we're not sure what they're doing yet.
Totally fine. I will pass from there.
Okay, so we have Sunny. What is Sunny up to?
I would like, first off, I kind of want you to make a wits and composure to even spot me, because I will be getting lost in the crowd.
I mean, that's fair, and I was absent from the room for about 20 minutes.
Hmm. So that would be Dex and Stealth for me.
Yes, it would.
Yeah, that would be 5.
Shard can add his clarity bonus because this is a perception roll.
Okay.
Wait, do I get any bonuses because I'm stealthing within the crowd? Hiding amongst it. And it's a changeling crowd, so...
I'm going to say you get a +1.
Okay. Oh, I tagged myself.
Well, roll the dang dice.
Oh, okay, never mind. You found
And
it.
I got 3.
It's fine. I will now be sort of... I'm definitely, like, kind of stalking the, I believe it is the Autumn Monarch, the Queen, I suppose, for the Autumn Queen.
She is Lady Autumn.
I will be sort of looking, just like I'm holding a drink and I'm sort of just like watching. I'm sort of just like as if I'm stalking her, like as if she was my prey for a moment. And then afterwards, make sure I'm very noticeable towards her. And then afterwards...
Go ahead.
And then afterwards, like, as soon as I get her attention, I'm gonna whisper over to the spring courts here who brought us in to introduce me to her.
Naira nods her head and says, good choice, good choice. And she takes your arm and wraps hers in yours and, leads you over. And she dips into a curtsy when she gets to Lady Autumn. And she says, Lady Autumn, this is Sunny. Sunny would like to have a word with you. Sunny, this is Lady Autumn, monarch of the autumn season.
I take a moment to pause. Pleasure to meet you, I say, with a slightly forced American accent for a moment.
She smiles and she tilts her head and says, well, that's not what I was expecting. But either way.
I'd like to subvert expectations best I can. I am told that you have means of... I've been very curious ever since I've arrived about your court.
She nods her head and she says, well, I, of course, am the one to speak to about the court and the season. What is it exactly that you want to know? Or are you just looking for sort of some general information about all of the courts?
Well, mainly, I've been told by my friend over here that I may get some means of perhaps understanding.
She nods and she says, we are one of the more mystical of the courts. We have our own seers and our own stargazers, as you will, and we employ them to the best of our ability. We, I'm sure, could teach you some things or two, if not just offer our services should you join the court. Of course, most people, would ask for a favor in return, but we would be happy to supply those services for you.
But what does that entail, joining your court?
Well, it means that you would harvest fear like the rest of us. I know that sounds terribly dark, but it really is some of the strongest emotion that you can muster up. If I have any problems, it means helping me with them. Other than that, it means really, I believe, staying cautious, staying hidden. We are the court of secrets and mystery. She kind of winks at that.
I think I'd like that, actually. I was just hoping. Are there any prerequisites? Honestly, I may need to consider the idea.
She nods and she says, "That's completely understandable. I, of course, am biased towards my court, but the others are just as valid of an option if you would like to explore them."
No, that's perfectly fine. I think I have to stay cautious, so to speak.
She nods and she says, "We all do. Just the wisest of us are the ones who can see it. So if you'd like to think it over, please take all the time you'd like. Our doors are always open to you, and welcome home."
That would be nice. Where may I perhaps get in contact in future?
She kind of laughs and she says, "Well, you're staying there already. I am the proprietor of the Roosevelt Hotel, and I can be found there most evenings when I'm not attending balls."
Okay. When can we arrange this? I'd like to join your court.
She smiles and she says, "Well, let's talk tonight after the ball, and then we can set up a time to have your swearing-in ceremony."
Oh, fantastic.
Fantastic.
This is very interesting.
She dips her head in a curtsy, and then she
bow.
walks off.
I do a curt bow and make my way straight to Shard.
Okay.
And just I give a casual smirk.
You look like the cat that got the cream.
Wolf.
And it's the pendant. So Key, you have come back at a perfect time because now we are moving to Lewis and finding out what Lewis is up to at this party tonight.
So, Lewis would first just start going around to anyone who wasn't busy, and try and strike up conversation with them, just like, hello, my name's Lewis. How are you this fine evening?
Several of them engage. Most of them are already kind of preoccupied in conversation. However, you do find somebody. She seems to be in her mid-20s. It's kind of hard to tell. She has beautifully golden hair. It's spun gold. And her fingertips seem to be dripping the same sort of metal that Shard seems to be made of. She smiles at you when you approach, and she takes your hand as you extend it, and she says, "I'm Melody. It's a pleasure to meet you."
Please, the pleasure is all mine. Have you been in this freehold long?
She laughs and she says, "Well, I've been here about 3 years now, I would say. It kind of runs together, but it's been about 3 years."
Must be something nice here, or else you wouldn't have stayed, I take it.
She winks and she says, "Well, there's something nicer here now. If you're staying, of course." You just found a spring courtier, what can I say?
Yep. So, Lewis doesn't have his heart in it right now, but he's going to return with like a wink and a chuckle.
Okay. So she does notice that, and she tilts her head and she says, "You're at a party, but you don't seem to be in the mood to party. What's wrong?"
I've just a little burned out, I suppose.
Well, you did just escape. I can understand that. She looks around and she says, well, there's plenty of libations here to lighten your load. So please, by all means. She says, and if you want any company for the night, you know where to find me.
Lewis would nod and smile as he continues to go around to try and make friends here.
Okay, is that what he's doing, is making friends?
Yeah, trying.
Okay, you can make a presence and socialize roll, and your specialty applies. That's a nice dice pool, goddamn.
Do my striking looks apply?
Yes, they do.
8 dice.
Ooh.
That was a 2 successes for that socialize roll.
Perfect. So you managed to make a couple of friends. Some of them introduce themselves as autumn courtiers. You meet a winter courtier. And all of them seem happy to make your acquaintance. And they tell you that if you have any questions about anything, that you can always let them know and they'll do their best to answer.
After all of that, Lewis will still have that little empty feeling of like, this is a party, I should be happy. I've met all these people, and I don't know. He takes a drink, stands in the corner, just kind of watches everything.
So after you guys are at the party for maybe about 30 minutes, there's a commotion going on at what seems to be the stage set up at the front of the dance floor. And as the monarchs gather on it, you can see the King of Winter stepping to the front, and everyone kind of gathers around and falls quiet. He begins to speak, and he says, my fellow changelings, I know that these past few months have been unusual. I know that our last ceremony when we gathered here to exchange crowns didn't go as planned. Our hope is that it will tonight. And with that, he reaches for his head as if he can remove his antlers. And he does. He kind of tugs on them a little bit, but they don't budge. And you can hear whispers beginning to move throughout the crowd. And, oh my goodness, the crown's not coming off. Oh my goodness, he's not going to be able to give the crown away. What is he going to do?
Shard will sense the trouble brewing, put an arm in Sonny's arm and drag him or maneuver him close to either Lysander or Lewis, whoever's closer. Try with the eventuality of everybody up. Coming soon, we need to get ready.
I'm well aware of that. We're going to the entrance.
I'll gather the other two. Meet you there. Let them go.
Okay, so it's not hard to find Lysander or Lewis. You managed to find them both, get them both to the entrance. Assuming that they're willing to go. Lewis might be too deep in his drink to really care what happens to him at this point.
Now, would this be a reminder of the Durance? Because they are taking me away while I am drunk from a party.
Yes.
Yelling, we need to go.
Yeah.
Apologizing.
While he's being dragged away, blackout drunk in the corner, just starts mumbling, no, I need her to say it.
Oh,
As he gets dragged.
no!
Oh,
You're gonna make me roll for clarity damage. Oh my goodness.
This is sad.
I'm going to look at Lysander, assuming that I have him with me, and say, does this seem familiar to you?
Yes. Yes, it does. We need to get him somewhere safe.
All right, if something goes down, stay behind me, get to the entrance, I'll be close.
Not that kind of safe. Safe meaning taking care of him.
Yeah, you're going to be in charge of that.
All right, so gently walking with Lewis towards the entrance.
Shard is only slightly looking at the court. He's more interested in the actions now of the people assembled, because if something's going to happen, it's them doing it. But moving a sort of bodyguard position to Ender and Lewis getting to the entrance.
The court, they start out mild. It's just whispers at first, but then they grow a little louder, a little more frantic. Some seem angry. You can see some of the changelings. You recognize them from the guards having been stationed around the arena. Some of them are reaching for weapons. Some of them are phasing into weapons, and they're all kind of surrounding the monarchs with their backs to the monarchs and their faces to the crowd, putting up a barrier between them. It seems to be just in case. No one's moving towards the monarchs. The monarchs are actually moving towards, it seems, a different exit or from the arena. And the crowd lets them go, just as the crowd seems to let you go.
Well, no violence. That's a good thing.
I'm gonna take a steak knife from one of the tables, just in case.
So you make it to the entrance without incident. What do you do?
I would just be waiting for something to happen, basically. If nothing happens, then cool, the situation diffuses on its own. If some sort of violence or further hubbub erupts, he will basically get the entrance door closed and then try to get everybody, the other three, to book it.
Okay. And that is where we'll call it.